Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. Let's just get into it right away. You had Marco Rubio and an American delegation in Saudi Arabia in Riyadh meeting directly with a Russian delegation led by the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. RT and all of the Russian propaganda, as well as all of the Russian media accounts, were absolutely loving this. Hashtag photo of the day. They love that America cut out Europe and Ukraine from the negotiation over Ukraine's future. It's exactly what Putin wanted afterwards. Marco Rubio hyped up what a unique opportunity there is for the United States to become allies with Russia and form economic partnerships. Here, play this clip.
The diplomatic one is one we hope to move pretty quickly on because this involves the treatment of our respective missions. The second one will be difficult, which is the question of Ukraine and the end of that conflict. But I think that's essential in order for the third piece to even be possible, which is our ability to work together on other geopolitical matters of common interest and, of course, some pretty unique, potentially historic economic partnerships as well. The key that unlocks the door for those opportunities, however, is the end to this conflict.
In terms of
We'll talk about that in a moment. Donald Trump behaving like Vladimir Putin here at home while Donald Trump spends the day golfing. He has his thugs, like his border czar, Tom Homan, continue to call for AOC to be arrested, Democratic Congresswoman AOC, because she's providing information to migrants about what their legal rights are. Homan has asked the DOJ to throw AOC in jail. Here, play this clip.
Heard you talking about AOC over the weekend. Do you believe she is breaking the law?
I'll leave that up to DOJ. What I find disturbing is that any member of Congress wants to educate people how they evade law enforcement. You can claim you're educating those constitutional rights. Okay, you can keep that claim. What she in fact is doing, telling people don't open your door, hide in your home, don't talk to ICE. We're talking about people who are in the country illegally, committed a crime, they're a public safety threat, they've been convicted of serious crime, and they've been ordered removed by a federal judge. So it's like AOC and others don't want ICE to enforce the laws that they enacted. She's a member of Congress. Let us enforce the laws you enacted. That's what we're supposed to do.
You can't go after her. Do you think others should?
No, I think I've asked DOJ, where's that line of impediment, of interference? Now, if someone stands in your way, prevents you from arresting somebody, put your hands on you, that's impediment. But what line is telling people to hide from ICE, not open the door? Where do you cross that line on impediment? So I've simply asked the Department of Justice, give us that line.
You have talked to them about this. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Well, we'll see where that goes. Tom Homan, I'm out of.
Meanwhile, you have Donald Trump surrogates like his Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, who's also worth nearly $1 billion. He goes on Fox and, like North Korea, Pyongyang style, says, how powerful did it look when Donald Trump over the weekend was at the Daytona 500 with the motorcade circling around the track over and over. America's back. You don't need to focus on the fact that prices aren't lower. You don't need to focus on the fact that we've just ignored the no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime part, and we're helping the billionaires get $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. Do not worry about it. America, baby, he's circling the tracks. Here, play this clip.
When we saw him take that victory lap of sorts going around the track, he seemed to be digging it.
Well, Steve, watching President Trump in the Beast, leading the pace car, leading a field of the most talented drivers in the world, kicking off the entire NASCAR season for America. When he was doing that, it reminded me of how he's actually leading the world right now. I had an opportunity to be with him, with Prime Minister Modi from India, with the Prime Minister of Japan, and the world is looking to President Trump for his leadership, and he's out in front, and everybody's following his lead, and wow, is that great for America and great for the world.
Well,
Is that great for America and great for the world? That while
where did they come up with this nonsense? I mean, it's, I'll tell you where they come up with it. Everything is a talking point, and they all receive a talking points memo every single morning. Hey, if you're going to be a surrogate and this includes people who are cabinet members. It includes people that are working in the government appointed by Trump. These are the talking points. First and foremost, you need to immediately, before you say anything, you need to go ahead and you need to praise Trump. You need to turn around and say to him that only Donald Trump would be successful in getting a meeting here in Riyadh with Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, as well as with members of the Russian administration. Only he can pull this thing off. People like Sergei Lavrov and others. Only Donald Trump could pull this off, because only Donald Trump is going to be the one to bring world peace, to bring peace between Russia and Ukraine. Now, like you, Ben, I am flummoxed regarding the issue of how do you engage in conversation between a conflict of Russia and Ukraine where you have excluded Ukraine from the conversation. The country that was invaded by Russia, how do you then go ahead and engage in conversation with one party and ignore the other? That to me doesn't sound like negotiation at all. It's one of these sort of take it or leave it scenarios that here's what we're going to do. We're going to chop up your country. We're going to allow, as an example, Russia to keep the territory that they have right now a stronghold in, which I think amounts to about 25% of Ukraine's property. And on top of that, we're going to figure out how to divvy up your mineral rights between whether it's Russia and the United States. That's what they're doing. They're chopping up. It's another form of expansionism. It's so wrong. And you know what it does? It destroys not just our relationship with Ukraine. Trump doesn't care about that. But it destroys our relationship internationally with countries like the UK, France, Italy, and so on, who now have no reason to accept America's word, that they have no reason to act as friends. They're going to be more leery of everything that goes on. And that's not how you create diplomacy. That's not how you create world peace.
No, it's definitely horrific to see. I want to show you some other clips of the events that are taking place today as well. You know, you have the new strategy, I guess, with Elon Musk is to deny in the court records that he's actually the administrator of DOGE, and to claim that he just is a special advisor to Donald Trump, because if he's a special advisor, then Donald Trump claims presidential immunity, Presidential Records Act, executive privilege to try to block any questioning of Elon Musk, as opposed to if he was running this thing. So that's the way they're trying to frame this. So let me show you these clips right here. And so this is Caroline Leavitt being asked by Fox, and I think they at least asked her the question, which is, so who does Musk work for? What is DOGE? What are you saying this thing is that now is getting access to tax returns, tax records, edit level access, so they can go through your individual file, make collections to you, audit you, go after you, stop audits of people who they like, edit level access, which even the head of the IRS doesn't get, because it's not supposed to be a political thing. It's just supposed to be something that functions in the normal course. And we know that DOGE has also gotten the access to Social Security information. We know they were asking for access to medical files, Medicare, Medicaid, all of your personal stuff. And, what the line from last week was, these billionaires don't do anything wrong. What are we talking about? Like, just give the billionaires your stuff. Why would you think that if billionaires have all of this money, shouldn't they be the most trustworthy people? So that's what they were hitting us with last week. So then a lot of Democrats were like, hey, well, why doesn't he testify? Or why don't you, if you want to be transparent, do it in the form of the government? So then they snuck this in to say, no, Elon Musk is actually a super secret special advisor to Donald Trump, but not an administrator of DOGE. Here's Caroline Leavitt trying to say that. Play this clip.
Alexander here, by the way, and thanks for coming back on with us. It seems there's being a lot made of what Elon Musk's role is actually at DOGE. The president has introduced him as the head of DOGE multiple times in interviews. Yet there's this affidavit that we've been able to get our hands on here that the press has as well. That it contradicts the White House claim that he's the head of DOGE. This affidavit actually says he doesn't work for DOGE at all. Reading directly from it, it says Musk is not an employee of the U.S. DOGE Service or the U.S. DOGE Service Temporary Organization. That's according to the director of the White House's Office of Administration. So what is his role at DOGE?
Sure, I'm happy to clarify. Elon Musk is a special government employee here at the White House, serving at the direction of the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Elon Musk has been tasked with overseeing DOGE on behalf of the President. And DOGE employees, DOGE folks have been onboarding at respective agencies across our federal bureaucracy as political appointees, just like any other political appointee gets on board with the new administration with the changing of hands, and those individuals are helping the secretaries at all of our agencies that have been nominated and confirmed by President Trump in the United States Senate to cut waste, fraud, and abuse at these respective agencies. So that's the way DOGE has been set up, and that's the way it will continue to operate.
I genuinely don't know what the hell she said there. And then here is blah, 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 word salad, lie, lie, lie. My name is Caroline Levitt. I'm worse than Kim Jong-un's propaganda. Lie, 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 lie. Here, by the way, is Stephen Miller when he was asked by CNN, what is DOGE? Who's running it? What's Elon Musk's role? And Stephen Miller was like, well, let me tell ya. Let me tell you there, CNN. I'll tell you, okay? Here, watch Stephen Miller. It's like ridiculous. Watch this idiot.
So who is in charge of DOGE?
The President of the United States.
He's the administrator of DOGE?
No, the DOGE is what was formerly U.S. Digital Services. It's an agency of the federal government that reports into the office of the Executive Office of the President, which reports to the President of the United States.
Okay.
The way that Article 2 works is a president wins an election, and then he appoints staff, including myself, including Mike Waltz, including Susie Wiles, including Elon Musk, and those staff report to him.
Okay, well aware. So Elon Musk a week ago answered a question about transparency at DOGE. This is how he spoke about DOGE.
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, we post our actions to the DOGE handle on X and to the DOGE website. So all of our actions are maximally transparent.
So you hear him there. We post our actions. All of our actions are maximally transparent. Does Elon Musk know he's not in charge of DOGE?
Again, the president runs the government, then the president appoints advisors, including Elon, including myself, including all the other staff here at the White House, and then those staff in turn execute the president's commands and directions to all the agencies of the federal government. This is how democracy works, something that we treasure in America. The whole American people go to the ballot box, they elect the president appoints staff, the staff then administer his orders and directives across the whole U.S. government.
Okay, Stephen, I get that, but this is important because we want to talk about who's making the decisions here. There were 300.
Michael Cohen.
Did you ever hear a non-answer answer? That's the beauty of this entire group surrounding Trump. There's never going to be an answer. Imagine that you, the American people, whether you voted for Trump or you didn't, you used to get your information from, whitehouse.gov, right? There was a White House website that was set up, or you would get it from, the press. Well, there is no more press getting the information until after they get it from X, which, by the way, happens to be owned by Elon Musk, and everything on that site is completely controlled by him for the benefit of Trump. No different than the way the National Enquirer did it for Donald during the 2016 campaign. And if you don't like going to X to get your information, well, fuck that. You could always just go to Truth Social because it's posted there as well, or another website called DOGE, right? Whereby you go ahead and you get what? right? You get that same information. Well, what kind of nonsense is this? You're talking about the same guy is in charge of all three websites. What if hypothetically, as it was brought up, that you get wrong information out there? Do you not think that the American people have a right to know the truth? I mean, whether you do it on purpose or not, I'm not even going to start to question whether or not it's true that you knew it was false. I'm talking about legitimate information, things like $50 million in condoms was sent to Gaza. Not true. Been proven. And Elon even acknowledges that not everything that we're going to put out there is going to be accurate, but we will correct it and so on. Really? Don't you think that you have an obligation, if you're working on behalf of the U.S. government, whether you are a special advisor or whether you are a cabinet member, to put out true information, especially when there is no other way for the American people to know what the truth or what a lie is, as far as what they're working on? I mean, there is no transparency despite what they're going to say. They will bullshit you again and again and again, and then again and again and again some more, telling you everything is transparent. Everything is transparent. And what happens? MAGA comes out and they say, why, Ben, you as a Democrat, as a staunch advocate, detractor of Donald Trump, why are you saying the things that you're saying? It's not true. Have you not heard everybody saying that it's fully transparent? It is not transparent. That's the problem, and that's why independent news sources like Midas Touch Network are so important. It is why, without having independent networks like this, what are you going to do? You're going to go to DOGE? You're going to go to X in order to get your information? What we really need, I hate to say it, Ben, we need like a Midas Touch march of like 1 million people to turn around and to show we're not going to take this bullshit anymore. No more.
Perhaps what I'm saying is, I don't know how people will feel about it, but I'd almost have more respect for these losers in the Trump administration if they just said who they are. Like the fact that they constantly lie and gaslight about their intentions just also shows how weak they are. I mean, it's obvious that their views are racist, xenophobic. It's obvious that they want to attack the most vulnerable people. It's obvious that they want to help the billionaires, but they think that they're so clever and they're so smart. And the smugness of a Stephen Miller who knows that what he's saying there is a complete word salad BS to justify the fascist pretext. He knows that he is manipulating individuals who are watching, these networks and trying to convince them to not believe their own eyes and ears and what's actually happening. I mean, to me, it's one of the things about the MAGA Republicans that I just think is, so utterly pathetic. Look, if you feel this way, just say it then. Just say it out loud. It was like when, Elon Musk did the salute and then they were like, well, take a look at this video. If you actually look, there's a video where AOC raises her hand and it's like her waving. And it's like, look, you're posting about the AfD in Germany, which is a neo-Nazi party. You are making posts that are, we talked at the beginning of the show about this meeting between Russia and the United States, where they cut out Ukraine, and Russian propaganda is all about it. When Elon Musk was making posts praising Sergei Lavrov arriving in Saudi Arabia and saying, this is what a real leader looks like. This is, so for all of the Republicans out there who are trying to act like they're with Zelensky and that they're trying to help Ukraine and that they stand with a strong NATO, I genuinely don't know. I don't know how these individuals go home and look at themselves in a mirror or go to sleep and be like, I'm not a worthless piece of crap. I don't know how you exist as, for example, a Lindsey Graham who spends his entire days just totally, Kim Jong-un style, sucking up to Donald Trump. But then on every issue that is purportedly material to him in terms of national security, law and order, and all of the things, he's like, well, that's where I have a disagreement. And that's, you mean the main issues? Like the main issues that you stand for, Donald Trump's the person destroying them? And then you pretend that you can somehow make these issues coalesce in your mind. It's total BS to me. When we come back from our first quick break, I want to share some statements from President Zelensky. Donald Trump is giving a conference as we speak right now. Some awful statements coming out of Donald Trump right now during this press conference as he remains on vacation. Some good news with the Midas Touch podcast there, Cohen. According to Podscribe and Newsweek just did an article about the past month, we beat the Joe Rogan experience and beat the Rogan show in downloads. I think we got 57.7 million downloads to Rogan's 50.3 million downloads. And that's a special thanks to all the brigaders. And I want to tell all the brigaders who subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel to subscribe to yours as well at the Michael Cohen Show YouTube channel. Make sure you all subscribe there. And then the Mea Culpa Blue podcast. You just search Mea Culpa and make sure you subscribe to the blue one and not the red one. And Cohen, you've got a great Substack, and you and I did a Substack live last week that was really fun to do, the same way we have a Substack. Take our first quick break, and then I got a lot to ask you, especially about this press conference that's unfolding right now. Let's go to a quick break.
Throughout my life, I literally drink one type of a drink, a specific 12-year single malt scotch. And the truth is, I've never had more than two in a single night. And I can remember when I was around like 15 years old, I had more than two one night, and I woke up the next day with a massive headache. So if you're one of those people who partakes, let's just say a little more than you should, here's something that you should know. Sol's out-of-office THC beverages, they work as an alternative because first, they're low-calorie, second, they're gluten-free, and most importantly, they don't cause hangovers. Now, I just want to say thank you to Sol, who's sponsoring this podcast. And if you listen to this show, you've heard me rave about Sol's out-of-office gummies. Well, the team at Sol, they just launched their new out-of-office beverages that are perfectly microdosed with hemp-derived THC and CBD to give any situation that vacation vibe. The out-of-office beverages, they not only come in two mouth-watering flavors, raspberry lemonade and cucumber melon lime, they also offer two different doses. You can get 2.5 milligram THC and 5 milligram THC. So feel the freedom to choose with 6, 12, or 24 packs so that you can drink the THC in any way that you like. Now, out-of-office beverages, they give you that warm, that fuzzy, that euphoric microdose feeling without sending you to the moon. And you could crack one open after a hard day at work, wind down with your favorite TV show, or just merely share a six-pack with friends at your next hangout. I mean, truly, whatever floats your boat. And here's a little fun fact. Sol was founded 5 years ago by brother and sister duo Mike and Angie. Mike is a former world-ranked professional boxer, and Angie is an author and professional speaker who had the desire to create natural alternatives to medication that tackles problems that they were dealing with themselves, like sleeplessness, anxiety, focus, and pain. And that's not all. That's not all that Sol's got. So whether you're looking for a sleep aid, enhanced focus, or pain relief, Sol has all your wellness needs covered. Plus, all of Sol's products are grown right here in the USA, organically farmed, and again, gluten-free. So if you want to feel your best, head over to getsol.com. That's GETSOUL.com and use code BEAT, BEAT, for 30% off your order. That's 30% off your order using code BEAT. One last time, getsoul.com and code BEAT, BEAT, for 30% off.
Thank you to those pro-democracy sponsors there. And we're going to have one more throughout the show. Reminder, patreon.com/political beatdown as well as a great place to go. We don't have outside
Thursday, I think we're going to have a big conversation with hopefully each and every one of you. There's so much to talk about. And at that one, we get to be one-on-one, spend a lot of time together answering questions that you have.
You know, Cohen, I want to get to this Trump press conference that he's doing in a bit, but let's talk about one of the things I talked about at the outset as well, which is all of these like performative stunts. You know, which is that's what he does, flying around in Air Force One over stadiums, trying to invoke patriotism, taking the motorcade, doing laps around the Daytona 500. I was actually surprised because I was looking at NASCAR's social media, and from NASCAR fans, people were like, "Oh, Donald, did Elon send you?" Or, "Hey, what about the lower prices, bro? What about no tax on tips? What about no tax on Social Security?" So I think even though the beginning of a presidency is supposed to be like the honeymoon period where people are supposed to be, happy about, and despite corporate media at first, I think there's some corporate media. I'm seeing some reporters get their spine back a little bit and starting to feel that they have agency again. I don't want to make a blanket statement, but I am noticing some that I'm like, okay,
I'm not. In fact,
some of the questions.
Let me say this. I happen to know the owner of NASCAR, and I can tell you, I remember in 2016 when they had Trump drive around in the NASCAR vehicle and so on. He is incredibly popular with that group of individuals, and hence why the Daytona 500 asked him to do it. That's not where I take the offense. I take the offense that after reading certain articles that have indicated that it costs the United States taxpayer $30 million. Get a load of this shit. $30 million for Donald Trump and his group to travel to both Daytona 500 and to the Super Bowl. Now, I know every single one of you have heard this statement on news that no other president has ever gone to a Super Bowl. And remember, this was Super Bowl 59. So it's not like the Super Bowl started last year and Joe Biden was too old and too feeble within which to go. Bullshit. It goes all the way back, 59 years. The reason why they haven't gone is because most presidents don't want the expense thrown on their heads to the American people to ensure it's not just Secret Service and the FBI, it's local police, it's shutting down the airway, and there's so much that goes into moving a president. But then to move a president and the whole crew into an area like the Super Bowl in New Orleans, right? Where you have 60,000, 70,000 people in that stadium. Imagine how much additional security is needed there. And for what? So that he could watch the Super Bowl in person and that he could wave to a bunch of the people while standing next to Ivanka? Nobody should be accepting this. Why? Because the same group of people that were there are telling you, the American people, that $50,000, which is being spent on some grant in order to determine climate change in Sri Lanka, it's not reasonable. Okay. On top of that, how about the fact that you also have this same administration cutting cancer research for children? So it's okay to spend it so that the president could have a photo op at $30 million while you're taking away cancer research for children. Seriously, I have so many fundamental issues with all of this nonsense where they're kind of trying to jam down our throats this horse shit that everything they're doing is trying to cut fat cut waste, cut abuse from our government budget. Well, maybe the first thing that you do is you just don't show up to the Super Bowl or to the Daytona 500.
Well, we've seen their budget, the Trump GOP budget. It cuts $880 billion to Medicaid. It cuts $250 billion to the farmers, $350 billion in cuts to education, but $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, in tax benefits for the billionaires. The budget, again, says, and I repeat myself, but it's important that we not lose track and get distracted by what they're trying to distract us with. Trump was telling people no tax on tips. Day one, no tax on tips. That's not in the budget. No tax on Social Security. They're not even talking about that anymore. No tax on overtime. They're not talking about that anymore. We're going to cap credit card interest rates and collection fees. They're not talking about that anymore.
I'm going to reduce the price of gas and the cost of your eggs. Nobody could afford, that word that I created called grocery, right? And no.
Let me show you this, Cohen. Let me pull out the receipts. I've got Trump during the campaign saying, when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. Here he is saying it. Here, let's play it, Jeremy.
So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. We will end Kamala's war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill.
Okay, I don't even know how people are so stupid to fall for that crap. But here he is again saying that in 24 hours, he will end the war in Ukraine. And he said that he will bring Zelensky. He says he's close with Zelensky. He's going to bring Zelensky and Putin together. And in 24 hours, it's going to, even before that, he goes, if he were to win the election, it would happen right away, even before his term started. Here, play it.
Could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes, I
How
could.
would you do that?
I know Zelensky very well. I'll end that war between those two countries in 24 hours. It won't even take that long.
Now, let me show you what Donald Trump just said moments ago while we were live. Donald Trump held a press conference from Mar-a-Lago while he's vacationing, and he was asked, what's your message to Ukrainians who feel betrayed by this administration? Here's what Trump said.
Do you have any message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think I'm really disappointed in what's happened. I've been watching this for 3 years. It's a war that would have never happened if I was president. And I've been watching these people being killed at levels that you've rarely seen, not even close, since the Second World War. And I'm very disappointed. I hear that, they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years and a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily. Just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago without the loss of much land, very little land, without the loss of any lives, and without the loss of cities that are just laying on their sides. You have those magnificent golden domes that are shattered, will never be replaced. You can't replace them. 1,000-year-old domes that are so beautiful, you can't replace that. The whole civilization has changed because of what. So when they're worried about not being seated, you mean somebody that should have gone in and made a deal a long time ago?
I don't know how you watch the way I showed you his own words, what he's promised, the betrayal of the promise, the way he just talked about Ukraine. I genuinely don't know how you watch that, regardless of what your political ideology is, unless you are literally like in Russia and you're like Putin. I don't know how you look at that and just don't go, as a human being, that individual is a vile, despicable liar. Like, I just don't know how you could watch that as he treats you like you're a dumb shit. And he treats you like you're just a stupid F word. And he knows it while he's vacationing. And while he screws up all of America, while he screws up our life, I don't know how you look at that and go, well, he speaks for me. What I see right there is one of the most pathetic, low-life scumbags in maybe the most in history, and not because his name is Trump, but because of his freaking actions. I just showed you the clips. This is a liar, a con artist, a fraudster. I'm going to show you in a little bit in this episode as well his 10K, his filing for Trump Media. I read the full 10K, by the way, where their entire revenue for all of 2024 was $3.6 million in total revenue, $400 million in losses, $3.6 million in revenue. Your local boba shop probably does the same amount of revenue as Trump Media did, and certainly doesn't have those losses. And then you want to lecture me that someone who while having all this power loses 400 million and 3.6 million in revenue, you want to tell me is a great businessman? Then when you look at the report, and has a whole section about inflation, and it talks about how inflation didn't hurt the company in 2022, 2023, and 2024, but they expect, this was in his report, the rising inflation and the surge of inflation will harm the economic prospects of his company. Trump inflation is going to hurt Trump Media, so you should expect worse results next year, is essentially what.
Ben, the one aspect here that cannot be overlooked is while the investors in Trump Media are getting the shit kicked out of them, Donald Trump has made billions off of Truth Social Media, Trump Media. He's made billions off of it. Not only did he make billions off that, he's made billions off of a coin, a token that, if you read the document on the disclaimers, it is not to be considered a crypto exchange. It's supposed to be, what did they call it?
They said it shows your
it's like a
community
merchandise
involvement in the letters $TRUMP. You're not buying a security. It says you're just showing your affection for the symbol $TRUMP. That's what it says.
It's a memento is the word I was looking for. It's not a coin. Now, will it have tradability? Yeah, because that's assuming that anybody wants it. People are buying it so that, exactly as Ben just said, it has become a memento, or it is in honor of Donald J. Trump. He's made billions off that. Only he is making money. In fact, I want to just bring one last point up. You talk about how right now he's at Mar-a-Lago because he intends to go golfing. You have any idea what the cost to the American taxpayer is? You realize that all the members of his Secret Service staff are all staying at Mar-a-Lago at a price of over $1,500 per night per room. They have to pay it. They have to pay the rate. Now, of course, if they went to probably hotels.com or something like that, they can get it cheaper. But why get it cheaper than the guy whose actually name is on the outside of the building who you happen to be guarding? So not only are we paying for him to be guarded, we're also paying at $1,500 a night per room. And God knows how many Secret Servicemen. It's not like they double bunk into a room. They each get their own room. And when they eat, it gets charged to the U.S. government, et cetera, not to mention just the total cost all in all. You're talking about like $15 million for the course of the weekend for Trump to go play a round of golf. And I remember so distinctly how he used to attack Barack Obama, claiming that he golfed more than professional golfers. Well, not accurate once again. So while we're eating shit, he's there having a Mar-a-Lago burger.
You know, the mental gymnastics, though, of the Trump supporter who was out there, no tax on tips, baby. No tax on overtime, baby. no tax on Social Security. The prices are going down so much. It's like, it's gonna be free, baby. We're gonna do this. And then Donald Trump's like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give the billionaires $1 trillion tax cut. So that's not gonna help you. You're not making even more than $360,000 a year. So you'll probably get taxed more. But the Gulf of Mexico, eh? You always want it to be called Gulf of America, right? I'm gonna do that. Gulf of America, baby. Yeah, Hulk Hogan, rip off the shirt. This is Hulkamania, baby. We're doing this. Oh yeah. And it's like, I'm watching this and I'm like, are you really that stupid? Like, are you really going to, are you going to fall for this? You're going to fall for that crap while you're getting screwed, while your job is getting taken away, while they're making life more difficult for you, while they're proposing cuts to your Medicaid, while they're taking away your federal programs that are keeping you alive and being able to have your family supported. And these red states rely on it even more, far more actually, than blue states. You're willing to settle on him just making up that the Gulf of Mexico is now called the Gulf of America? Or, to me, what these USAID posts are like, they remind me of what QAnon does with the Q drops, where they like drop this and people go, oh my God, oh, I see a little bit of dollar here. Maybe Hamas is taking the condoms, and are they making condom bombs? Are they doing condom bombs? Oh, I'm doing my own research right here. And they have people with these pebbles that they sprinkle. What was the last one? Oh my God. Do you know that Social Security is paying millions of people over the age of 150?
No,
People.
Ben, we have to be, this is so stupid that it's important that we are spot on specific. What Carolyn Levitt said was that tens of millions, not 10 million, but tens of millions of deceased people are right now receiving money from Social Security. And that thanks to Elon Musk and his DOGE team. And another idiot that said it is the Republican from Tennessee. What's his name? Bushert, whatever his name is. He turned around and said the exact same thing because it's all part of the talking point. Tens of millions of Americans who are deceased are receiving money, but thanks to Elon Musk and his DOGE team, they are searching through all these records in order to stop this fraud, this waste, this abuse against our tax dollars. Lie, lie, and lie.
Let me show you this. This is what Trump said about Zelensky. Trump says that Zelensky has a 4% approval rating, which is 100% false. Here, play this clip.
We're hearing that Russia wants to force Ukraine to hold new elections in order to sign any kind of a peace deal. Is that something that the U.S. would ever support?
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine, where we have martial law, or essentially martial law in Ukraine, where the leader in Ukraine, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating, and where a country has been blown to smithereens. You got most of the cities are laying on their sides. The buildings are collapsed. It looks like a massive demolition site. So many of the cities. I mean, they haven't done it in Kiev because I guess they don't want to shoot too many rockets in there. They've done it 20%, but they haven't done it 100%. If they wanted to do it 100%, it would probably happen very quickly. But you have cities that are absolutely decimated. And yeah, I would say that, when they want a seat at the table, you could say the people wouldn't the people of Ukraine have to say, like, it's been a long time since we've had an election. That's not a Russia thing. That's something coming from me and coming from many other countries also.
That's a Russia thing. He's literally doing the Russian talking points. And to say Zelensky has a 4% approval rating, Zelensky's approval rating right now is over 60%. what was one time it was like 80. It's still above 60% right now. And so look, if we were fact-based and you wanted to actually have a legitimate conversation and you were tethered to the reality, I think it would be a fair conversation to say at one point at the beginning of the war, Zelensky's approval was 84. Now still twice as many Ukrainians support versus disapprove, unlike Donald Trump, where more Americans now disapprove. But if you wanted to have an honest conversation, right, Cohen, you would say, look, his approval rating's now over 60%, but it's less. And we could actually have a data conversation. But these people these MAGAs are scumbags. I mean, Trump's a scumbag. 4%. They just lie.
He doesn't even need to say that. That's the crazy part. What he's doing is he's lying for the sake of just lying, thinking that it's red meat for his base and for people he thinks are interested in hearing that. It's number one, it just doesn't make any sense. How about just turn around and say that, I don't like Zelensky. I don't like the fact he didn't do what I asked him to do, which was to open up an investigation into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and Burisma. And so I don't like him, blah, 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 that I happen to get along with Putin and we are not going to give money or munitions or military support to Ukraine unless they give up the territory that Russia has currently taken and the United States is going to split with Russia, we don't know what percentage yet, all of the minerals and natural resources that we want. Just be fucking honest.
At least you're telling your view. That's what, to me, it's like, while I would view that as so effed up, I'd at least be like, okay, you're at least saying a position that is at least rooted in at least a strain of logic that I vehemently disagree with, but they don't. Why? Because they're weak, they're pathetic, and they're liars. We got to take a quick break, and our producers are saying, we got to take our last break. We'll take our last quick break. Subscribe here. Subscribe to @The Michael Cohen Show YouTube. We'll be right back. We still got a lot to discuss.
When I was in my early 20s, I developed an ear infection that caused me to lose, believe it or not, more than 80% of my hearing. And since then, it's actually gotten worse. But the truth is, I never bought a hearing aid out of vanity, despite my dad, who's an otolaryngologist and a diplomat in head and neck reconstructive surgery. He's an ENT surgeon. He sent me to his audiologist telling me to do so. And then I got my MD hearing aid and I couldn't be happier. My wife and my children couldn't be happier. You know why? Because they don't have to keep repeating themselves. And my friends, they don't worry where they sit anymore at the table because I can hear now from both sides. Which is why I'm excited to say that this podcast is sponsored by MD Hearing. MD Hearing is an FDA-registered, rechargeable hearing aid that costs a fraction of what typical hearing aids cost. MD Hearing's Neo model, that's the one that I have in my ear right now. It costs over 90% less than clinic hearing aids. The Neo fits right inside your ear, so no one will even know that it's there. Plus, MD Hearing just launched the Neo XS, MD Hearing's smallest hearing aid ever. MD Hearing recently cut their price in half. I mean, that means that you're going to get their high-quality, rechargeable digital hearing aid for only $297 a pair. In fact, I called Ben immediately after to tell him how great that they are. I mean, I can actually hear. I even called my dad, who wears the hearing aid himself, and I bragged to him about my new MD hearing aid. I mean, I told him it's just as good as premium quality hearing aids. And $297 a pair for a hearing aid? It's just crazy. MD Hearing was founded by an ENT surgeon, just like my dad, who saw how many of his patients needed hearing aids, but they couldn't afford them. Or, like me, vanity. He made it his mission to develop a quality hearing aid that anyone could afford. MD Hearing has sold over 1.9 million hearing aids, and they offer a 45-day risk-free trial with a 100% money-back guarantee. So you can buy with confidence. And if you're still on the fence about MD Hearing, they were just selected to be the hearing aid supplier for top Medicare Advantage plans. So they are a brand that you can trust. And look, here, I'll prove it to you. There's my hearing aid. You see how small this thing is? Yeah, and it goes right in too. So this holiday season, get the hearing aid you deserve with MD Hearing. Go to shopmdhearing.com and use promo code BEAT to get a pair of hearing aids for just, again, $297. Plus, they're adding a free extra charging case. That's a $100 value just for listeners of Political Beatdown. So go right now. That's shopmdhearing.com and use our promo code BEAT, BEAT, and get a pair of hearing aids for just $297. Again, shopmdhearing.com and use promo code BEAT, BEAT. Go there now.
Cohen, I know you actually really do love, I mean, you love our sponsors, but you talk to me about those hearing aids all the time. It's made a bit, you have very bad hearing. And
only in my left ear. I lost, more than 80% of my hearing in my left ear. So, my right ear is fine, but the left one is pretty bad. And so, this was great. I mean, I really didn't want to buy it because out of vanity, and this thing was so little. I was like, shit, let me just give it a shot. The only mistake that I keep making is I wear them all the time, and you got to recharge them, and sometimes I just forget. The same way sometimes I forget to recharge my phone. That's the only bad thing. It doesn't come with a lifetime battery.
Well, we'll work on that one. Lifetime batteries.
Sure.
If you can invent them, we'll see. All right. Let's go back to that press conference. Here's Donald Trump being asked about Elon, and Donald Trump saying, I'm not sure if he's an employee or whatever. He's a patriot. He's a patriot, though. Here, play this clip.
In a court filing, the White House said that Elon Musk is not a DOGE employee and has no authority to make decisions. Can you clarify for us today
well, Elon
what
Musk,
his exact role is there?
Yeah. Elon is, to me, a patriot. So, you could call him an employee, you could call him a consultant, you could call him whatever you want. But he's a patriot. I mean, look at the kind of things I just said. Just write it down, just in case that question got asked, right? And which I'm surprised it took so long, actually. But you know what? Ukraine's a bigger deal because people are dying by the thousands a week. Thousands.
I mean, I'm watching a idiocracy meets fascism. You can call him an employee, or I just call him a patriot. I was going to be asked this question, but Ukraine's a bigger deal. Then he goes on to lie about Zelensky in the previous clip.
Well, I think I'm a patriot. How come I don't have access to the IRS information or the federal government's checkbook?
You can't. If here's the thing, if somebody watches that, and that makes sense to them as an American who's not in on it. Like, I get the oligarchs and billionaires and the people who are gaining so much power and exploiting people who could watch that and go, oh, I see what he's doing. We're gonna, this is all part of the plan. But when you're on the receiving end of this bullshit and they are literally just kind of, they're not just belittling your intelligence. They're mocking it. And I understand. I think over 50% or 60% of this country has below a 5th or 6th grade education. I mean, that's a fact from international audiences. Why Donald Trump says, I love the poorly educated. As I watch that, I try to do my best to put myself in a perspective of someone who can relate to that. And it was mush. He said mush. He said nothing. And people are okay, these Trump supporters, with billionaires getting access to your tax records and your medical files and the guy has a Neuralink who he implants things in your brains, and people would get upset. Oh, Bill Gates is doing it when Bill Gates really wasn't doing it. And then Elon Musk is like, and DOGE is gutting the agencies that would look over the thing that, puts the Elon Musk chips into your head. There's no part of me that goes, what level, what was the other thing that they were doing? They were pressuring Romania to have easier conditions on Andrew Tate, who was accused of like sex trafficking there and was arrested and made statements about being with minor girls. Like that's what they're focused on, not your no tax on tips.
But yet they say that that's exactly the Democratic order. Remember Pizzagate and so on. Everything that they do is all about projection. It's really a terrible, terrible shame that we are living in a time right now, an upside down world, so to speak, where there is no facts coming out. What Donald was just doing there by reading off, what he was reading off is what I had mentioned to our brigaders earlier, which is talking points memo that comes out every day to anyone that is going to be a surrogate, to anyone that is going to be on television. Here is what you need to say. If Elon Musk's name comes up, immediately you need to challenge them and state he is a patriot. Everything he is doing for free. He's not making money. He's not charging the government. He's not a government employee, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, how much money did Elon Musk make so far since Donald Trump became president of the United States? Almost $350 billion. $350 billion. So you know what? You know what? If you want to turn around and say, if you had $250 million, you wouldn't invest it in somebody to make $350 billion, I would say that's bullshit. And I would turn around and tell you one last thing. He gets my two-finger salute of the day. Elon with his nonsense and DOGE. Fuck you. Fuck you and the 19-year-old and the 20-year-old and the 21-year-old that think that they have the right to go in to our private files, whether it's IRS. Michael Cohen, have now twice had my information stolen out of the IRS system, whether it was the FinCEN system or directly from IRS, twice. Once by a guy named John Fry, an IRS agent out of San Francisco, who ultimately received 1-year probation for doing it, for downloading all my tax documents and giving it to Michael Avenatti, who gave it to Ronan Farrow, who wrote about it. Or now I just got a letter regarding Charles Edward Littlejohn, all during the previous Trump administration, that mine and 1,000+ other Americans had their tax information taken by this IRS contractor. So if you think I'm not concerned about these little fuckers going in there and start scrummaging around like a bunch of fucking rats, well, I am. All right. I'm really concerned because I know what it's like to have your information taken, put out there onto the web. My shit's not even on the dark web. It's on the regular web. They just put this shit out because they can. And when you have somebody like an Elon Musk with X and all of the other attachments, and then you have all the other tech billionaires that are now kissing Trump's ass. No, it's wrong. And you cannot imagine how bad it is when all of your information gets put out there. And to those people who think that this is some sort of a joke, I do truly hope it happens to you. I really do. Because somehow or another, the only way that MAGA is going to finally understand how dangerous this group of animals are is when it happens to you. And then I can turn around and I can say, fuck you, I warned you.
There's so many people who are effing around and finding out, or the leopards are eating their faces moment. And, there were some people who are being like, and there's a Wall Street Journal article on this where there were people who were saying, this is recent, it came out yesterday, this was the stupidest decision I ever made in my life. I'm absolutely humiliated. But for every person who's now saying that, I still notice that there are people who were like, okay, well, he may be doing that, but like, what about the other issues though? Like, I'm not just like a one voter issue. And then I go, first off, he's screwing you on the other issues, but that specific issue is literally like your existence. You would think that if you are a voter, whether or not you will stay in the United States versus go to a concentration camp in Guantanamo Bay would be a pretty significant issue to you. Say, I don't know, before focusing on whether RFK Jr. is going to lie about making America healthy again, which is also total bullshit. But like they go, but what about Ma, man? What about Ma? I go, look, first off, the RFK Jr. anti-vax stuff is beyond dangerous and will result in massive amounts of deaths. But you're Venezuelan, okay? Like you just lost, your family members just lost TPS, and now they're going to go to concentration camps in Guantanamo or be sent back to Maduro. And you want to have some, like, the rage algorithm has worked on your mind so much that you are clinging to your other Fox and right-wing talking points while they're hauling off your freaking wife to a concentration camp in Guantanamo. Like, are you literally an idiot? Like your, what was the word of 2024? What, brain rot was the word of 2024? There's so much information out there that I think that there are just some minds that, like, it's rotten. You get these lies and it rots it. So you can't even have a conversation that resemble, I've referred to it like this way before. Remember Furbies growing up when I was a kid? Like Furbies were a thing. And the Furby go, Furby. Like, you're just speaking Furby at this point. Your brain is mush. You're speaking brain Furby, and you don't make sense. You're like a brain Furby zombie. So I guess we'll leave it at that. Cohen gave the 2-finger salute. I came up with the term brain Furby zombie, and we're beating Joe Rogan. So we got that. Everybody hit subscribe here. We want to get to 5 million subscribers on this YouTube channel. Subscribe to @The Michael Cohen Show. Let's bring that YouTube channel to soar to 1 million. Subscribe to @The Michael Cohen Show there. Subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast, wherever audio podcasts are available. Mea Culpa Blue. And patreon.com/political beatdown. We will
don't forget, I have one more new one that you guys got me into, which is Substack. At the real Michael Cohen. I took that off of Donald's, the real Donald Trump, the real Michael Cohen, sort of just like the little old, you know what I mean, on Substack. So if you're there, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying that, by the way.
Hey, Substack is great. Our Substack crushes. I
crushes.
love it. Stop with the Furby brains, MAGA. Let's look yourself in the mirror. Critical thinking skills, please. We'll help you out. Come to the Midas Touch Network. Join the Midas Mighty. Let's speak truth.
Right.
Let's speak the reality. Wake up, people. Thanks for watching. Shout out Brigaders. Shout out Midas Mighty.
Boom.